What's good, people? Spud here, and welcome to episode 25 of Spud Ball. And the day has finally come. Liverpool are Premier League champions, and it's so deserved. They've been the best team in the league by some distance as well. Honestly, what a feeling it was on Sunday. So deserved. And now we're just going to go through Liverpool's season. I know there's 4 games left to go, um, but we're just going to do our season review now. So we're going to be looking at the positives, the negatives, the best goals, the best performances, the best games, and rating every single player that's played at least 4 games, bar Vitoslav Jaros, this season as well. If you do enjoy, please like the video, obviously, as well, if you're here. This is uploaded whilst we're doing our 12-hour stream on Twitch. Obviously, there's going to be a giveaway if this video hits um, a certain amount of likes, which I'll say on the stream by the time the stream ends. So obviously, make sure to like it. Obviously, I'll put it in chapters so you guys can watch the bits you want to watch, of course, because obviously not everyone that's going to watch this video is going to be a fan of Liverpool, but you might still want to see what I'm saying about them, of course. So let's just get straight into it because, like I said, there's a lot to talk about here. So we're going to start with our season review. So for me, the positives, obviously winning the Premier League. You know, a couple of months into the season, I said that's all I want us to win this season. Like that's what that would be. It would be a 10 out of 10 season if we were to win the Premier League because obviously we've only won the Premier League once before, and obviously they couldn't celebrate it with the fans, even though the fans were there for literally every single game they won bar a couple. Football for you. And they won it in convincing fashion as well. Salah and Van Dijk sign contract extensions. I'll be honest, when I did Spud Ball, the Liverpool rebuild, I wasn't even sure if that would happen, and then it did, thankfully. I think slot unlocking Gravenberch as well was a massive positive because he's now playing like a £75 million player, you could argue, based off his age. And obviously Liverpool did pay £34 million for him, but it looked like a bit of a average player last season under Jurgen Klopp. Defensively stronger, I think Liverpool are better defensively. Normally, I think a lot of the time that Liverpool concede is due to their own mistakes rather than the other team being better than them. Salah having an all-time of a Premier League season where he has broken many records already, and there's still more he can potentially break in the last 4 games. And also keeping Konate fit. The only time Konate has not been available to play was an injury that was caused by Endrick, like, fouling him really stupidly right at the end of the Real Madrid Champions League game. And I think keeping Konate fit has been very important for Arne Slot because he doesn't trust Quansah and Gomez as much. And obviously Gomez has been injured. Negatives, lack of rotation. And I think that has cost Liverpool in the Champions League and potentially other games, you know, where like Gravenberch might look a bit leggy and stuff like that. Dropping silly points, the Everton derby, which ended up also, you know, it meant Liverpool could win the league at Anfield in the end, but that doesn't matter. The Fulham game, where both Fulham games, I should say, the Newcastle game at St James's Park, where Kelleher left the ball. Stuff like this needs to be ironed out next season, but Liverpool won the league. It doesn't matter now. Trent leaving on a free. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's like 99% likely that that's going to happen. You're losing like a £75 million fullback there for zero. And obviously, Conor Bradley gets injured quite a bit. I mean, he just picked up another knock. Liverpool will have to sign a right back. They have to. The cup final performance, yeah, that was shocking. Except when Chiesa came on, he actually made a difference. Losing to Plymouth, again, unacceptable. I think, apart from the Everton derby at Goodison, might have been the game I was most annoyed about, was the Plymouth one. You can't be losing to a team that's about to get relegated to League One. I don't care if it was the B team or not. UCL exit, penalties, that's just how it goes, but Liverpool outplayed for the entire game, both legs. Nunes, Robertson, and Jota dropping off. I mean, Nunes hasn't looked very good this season, neither has Jota. Robertson, well, Jota looked good at the start before he got injured. Robertson, yeah, too many ridiculous amount of mistakes, and that's why Liverpool should be gone for a new left back. But we're not talking about the future; we're talking about the present. So that's the season review. Now it's time for my top 10 favourite goals of the season. And we're going to go down 10 to 1. So obviously you guys can see the list here. So in 10th is Van Dijk against West Ham. I mean, just 89th minute goal after probably being at fault for the Robertson own goal 3 minutes before. You score the winning goal just before you announced that you're signing a new contract. And being the captain and making the gap 6 points needed at the time from 6 games, from 7 games. Was it six from six? Yeah, 6 from 6. I just think I don't even know what it was now, to be honest. But it just made it like it made it feel like that was it then. You know what I mean? Szoboszlai versus Spurs away. It was such a nice goal. It was where like he flicked it on and then Salah played it back to him and he put it through Fraser Forster's legs. Really nice goal. Salah versus Spurs. This was obviously the goal on Sunday. I didn't include the if it was in the cup or not, but I'll tell you if there was any in the cup games or whatever. Yeah, this Salah goal was a beauty. And I was just happy for Salah, and then obviously the selfie celebration with the fans was so cool. I could have put it higher, to be fair. Same with the McAllister one next, which was obviously to take Liverpool into the lead of the game. And after that, I knew that it's probably going to be done. I couldn't see Spurs scoring many more. But I have kept Luis Diaz's second goal against Man United on there. And I could have arguably put these McAllister and Salah goals ahead of it, but I think just to go 2-0 up at Old Trafford, third game of Arne Slot's reign, I thought was really good and a massive goal because we didn't know how Man United were going to beat. Obviously, Man United have had a good record against Liverpool last year. This year, they got a point against them at Anfield and obviously lost 3-0 at home. But it was just such a nice strike from Luis Diaz and a great pass from Salah, and I just loved the goal. In fifth, I've actually gone for Szoboszlai versus Man City. Now, a lot of this is because of how good Salah does here with the ball. Yeah, that's actually the assist is like one of the main reasons. Obviously, he sends Guardiola many times, and then a really nice finish from Szoboszlai. Then I've put Núñez first against Brentford because it looked like Liverpool were going to draw here, and Arsenal had the chance to make the gap. 2 points if they beat Aston Villa. They ended up drawing to Aston Villa after being 2-0 up. And Núñez got a brace, and Liverpool got 3 points. And that was probably the only positive thing Núñez did all season. Maybe the Southampton game at home. But he did well here, so we'll give him credit. In third, now this didn't even mean anything in the end, but obviously it did at the time. Harvey Elliott's goal against PSG. Smash and grab. That's all I've got to say. Smash and grab. The top two were tough. Now, I think that the Salah goal against Brighton was probably I think was the best goal Liverpool scored this season because it was just really nice counter-attack, brilliant play from Curtis Jones, and the strike from Salah was remarkable, and obviously 2 quick-fire goals got Liverpool the win there. But I'm going to put that in second because just that goal against Arsenal, it was such a good goal. So Bosley to Trent with a long ball, Salah left it because he was offside, so Núñez ran onto it, a perfect pass from Núñez, and Salah with an absolutely brilliant finish in the bottom corner to get a point against Arsenal, who at this time we thought were going to be, title contenders as well. We thought Man City still would be, so like Arsenal dropping points at home was always a good result. But yeah, they're my top 10 favourite goals. Obviously, I could have put like McAllister's against Fulham and stuff like that. I mean, look, maybe if I did it again, you could argue 6, 7, and 8, but I think the rest of them I'm pretty happy with. Um, I'm pretty happy with the rest of them in order though. Then we have our top 10 performances, okay? Right. So number 10 is probably one that a lot of people will have forgotten about, but it was Ryan Gravenberch against Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. He was absolutely unplayable in this game. He was also deployed quite wide to deal with Milos Kerkez because Slot identified him as a threat, and it worked really well, and Liverpool got a massive result because Bournemouth were in red-hot form at that point. Then I'm putting McAllister's performance on Sunday because it was so good. So good. The amount of tackles he won, scored a great goal as well. Was given man of the match as well by Sky. Really good performance. In eighth, I'm going for a performance that was a long time ago. Luis Diaz against Bayer Leverkusen. He obviously scored a hat-trick in this game. This is the first time they tried him as as a centre forward. And it worked really well. And it has had a lot of bad games as the centre forward this season, Luis Diaz, but he's also had some pretty good ones. And we don't know what the future holds, but like we said, we're just focusing on the present right now. But he might not be there next year, obviously. The only defensive... Oh, no, actually, no. I've just realised that's not true. Anyway, Van Dijk against Man City away because Liverpool had to defend a lot for this game, but they won it 2-0. It was probably the weekend where Liverpool believed that they could win the Premier League because Arsenal shockingly lost to West Ham at home and Liverpool beat Man City at the Etihad. And obviously Salah and Szoboszlai were brilliant in this game, and so was Virgil van Dijk. He was a colossus. Every time Man City tried to cross the ball, him and Kanate would deal with it. It was a superb performance from Virgil van Dijk, the captain. In sixth, honestly, this one was tough. I didn't know where to put it. I've gone for Salah against West Ham. His assist, oh my God, his assist against West Ham was absolutely filthy. 1 goal, 2 assists here for Salah. It was an absolutely brilliant performance from the entire team, but Salah was the standout. In fifth, I've actually gone for Szoboszlai against Spurs because he should have had like 4 or 5 goal contributions this game. This was the game at the Spurs ground. I tell you what, every time Szoboszlai plays Tottenham, someone said it like he turns into like Kaká. Like he's an absolute machine against Tottenham. I don't understand it. If he could play like that against every single team, he could be one of the best players in the league if he was like that. But his performances against Spurs this season were really good. But this was the highlight one. I think he got 1 goal, 1 assist in this game, but realistically should have got another 2 goal contributions. He missed quite a big chance, but then Salah scored the rebound, for example. And I'm going to put Salah's performance there in fourth. Yeah, his goals were pretty straightforward goals, but he got 2 goals and 2 assists. An absolutely stellar performance from Liverpool's star forward, striker forward, whatever. Yeah, the winger, obviously, with the majority of Liverpool's goal contributions this season, and that shows why. I'll be honest, these two were really tough to choose. Now, I've actually put his Newcastle one, the Newcastle one. I see this as like a carry. He carried Liverpool to almost win this game out of nowhere. 2 goals, 1 assist, an absolutely superb performance from Salah. Unfortunately, it was ruled out because Kelleher left the ball and Shah scored. I do think if Liverpool had won that game, this would have been number 2 or maybe even number 1. But I have kind of put the result into play here because this is the only performance on the list which wasn't a victory. But yeah, it was a superb performance from Salah. And Trent, to be fair. Trent kept coming on did also help a lot in that game. But that Man City away performance was absolutely remarkable from Salah. And it wasn't just the goal and the assist. Obviously, his goal was deflected, but it was a beautiful corner routine. A superb bit of play to assist Szoboszlai. But his defensive work rate, his dribbling, he played so well. He caused a lot of issues for Man City, both on the attack and on the defence. And yeah, for that reason alone, that goes at number 2, and because it was such a big win for Liverpool. But nothing will top Alisson Becker versus PSG in the Champions League. Arguably a top 3 goalkeeping performance I've ever seen. Obviously, unfortunately, it meant nothing in the long term because obviously the tie was won by Paris Saint-Germain, but I think he made 9 saves, but it wasn't just the 9 saves, it was everything else. And some of the saves he were making were absolutely outrageous. And that for that reason, Alisson is at number 1 for this. And, you know, for this one was a pretty straightforward. This one was a pretty straightforward one, I think. To put Alisson at number 1. Absolute machine. So, I actually made this one right at the end, just before I clicked record. So, top 10 games of the season for Liverpool. So, I think I've picked well here. So, in 10th, I've gone for the 4-1 win against Ipswich. The reason I've actually put this one, not just because it was 4 goals against Ipswich, but they didn't have a shot until like 75 minutes in the game. Unfortunately, they actually scored a shot at the end, but Liverpool were all over them. The defence, the midfield trio were brilliant in this game, and I'm pretty happy with that rating. And then I put 4-0 against Spurs. Now, this was the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg. I thought this one was a really good performance. You know, from start to finish, Tottenham couldn't really get close to Liverpool's goal. Liverpool were all over them and got to the final. Obviously meant nothing in the end. Then I'm going to put the 2-0 win against Man City at home in the Premier League because I thought this was a superb performance again. You know, realistically, it should have been like 4 or 5-0 at half time, but Liverpool had to find that second goal later on, and it was a penalty that was won by Luis Diaz that Salah stepped up and scored. Massive 3 points. And then in 7th, I've gone for the 4-0 win against Leverkusen. Obviously, all 4 goals were scored in the second half, 3 by Luis Diaz. But it was a very good performance. It was a very good performance from Liverpool against Leverkusen. And then in 6th is the 3-1 win against AC Milan. Now, this is one of the first games of the season, but Liverpool, after conceding really early on, were absolutely superb. Do you know, I honestly nearly put this in the top 3. It was that good. It was such a good performance. In fifth is the Real Madrid game, 2-0. Again, Liverpool should have scored like 4 or 5. Mbappe missed a penalty. Salah missed a penalty, was a pretty crazy one, but yeah, 2-0, brilliant result. Then I've gone for the Man City game because of the mentality of the team and, the defensive work was superb from the team, from everyone. So I'll go with that in fourth. I mean, the Tottenham performance, except conceding really early on, was absolutely perfect. Um, Salah scored a great goal, McAllister scored a great goal, Gakpo got a nice goal as well. The first goal was pretty nice team play as well. And obviously Liverpool won the Premier League from that game. So yeah. The 5-0 win against West Ham, amazing. Again though, they should have scored a couple of goals. They hit the post a few times. But the attacking threat was so strong from Liverpool, and particularly Mo Salah. Now, even though they conceded 3 sloppy goals, I've put the 6-3 win against Spurs at number 1 because, trust me, it was an absolute massacre. And Liverpool should have scored, I genuinely believe, at least 8 or 9 goals in that game. I think their XG was like 5.7, which is mental. I know they've had like 7+ XG against Newcastle last season and only won 4-2, but this performance was absolutely superb from Liverpool. Salah, Diaz, Szoboszlai were absolutely unbelievable in this game. Top 10 moments now. So in 10th is that 6 goals against Spurs. It was just amazing. 9th, beating Real Madrid in the UCL. It was nice to beat them. Yeah, it wasn't a final or a knockout game, but it was still nice to beat them. In 8th, I've put Nunez's late double against Brentford. He got us an extra 2 massive points in that game, which were really important at the time. In 7th, I've gone for the PSG late goal. I thought, Liverpool was so bad the entire game. They got one chance and they scored it, and it was Harvey Elliott, who just come off the bench. In 6th, I've gone for Gravenberch becoming a bit of a vital cog to the team. He was a squad player last season after being signed from Bayern Munich. There was times where I thought he was quite lazy defensively, and then he's become a vital cog of this team with Alexis McAllister in that midfield pivot. In 5th, I've just gone for multiple Salah masterclasses because I didn't really know what to say about that. But the amount of times that he has carried that attack, he deserves this title so much. Him, Van Dijk, Alisson, Robertson, they all deserve it so much. Especially like the people that had won it before. That's what I'm trying to say. In 4th, I've gone for the 3-0 win at Old Trafford. It's always nice to beat Man United. Regardless of the performance, it's always nice to beat Man United, especially at Old Trafford. In 3rd, I've gone for the double over Man City. I can't remember the last time. I think the last time that Liverpool beat Man City at the Etihad in the Premier League was Klopp's first season, and Slot did it as well. 2 games without conceding against them as well. You can't go wrong with that. In 2nd, I've gone for Salah and Van Dijk extending their contracts because this was so important for the short term. 2 years each. Let's see what the next 2 years bring. Maybe another Premier League, maybe a Champions League. Have to see. And of course, number 1. If you didn't have winning the Premier League at number 1, what are you doing? What an achievement. Best moment of the season, definitely. And to do it with 4 games to go is nice. Now, hopefully, Federico Chiesa will get some more minutes because I'm sick of seeing him on the bench. I'm sick of it. He doesn't even get on the bench sometimes. Joke. Right. It's now time to rank every player's season that has played at least 4 games for Liverpool. But I'm also going to include Vislav Yaros, who I'm going to put at 27. But his 1v1 save against Crystal Palace when he came on because Alisson got injured, brilliant. He made a really nice save against Brighton in the Carabao Cup as well. His contract actually isn't out in the summer when everyone thought it was. So I'm interested to see if he's the number 2 next season, if Mamardashvili goes on loan or whatever happens. Jadon Dan's in 26th, obviously scored a nice goal in the FA Cup. But he didn't really play like too much. I've gone for Trey Nyoni in 25th. I think he had a few nice appearances. Same with James McConnell in 24th and Tyler Morton in 23rd. Obviously, Morton had a bit of an injury, but Morton needs to be getting more football. I think he'll be gone in the summer. I've had to put Chiesa at 22nd because he just hasn't played enough. I think he's made 12 appearances this season in all competitions. 4 Premier League appearances all season. I think he deserves a chance because I think he's better than. You should be trying him up front or on the left instead of like Jota or Nunez. Like, he should be getting some more minutes. It's ridiculous. I've had to put Jarell Quansah 21st because obviously he was starting game in, game out for Liverpool at the end of last season. This season he started two Premier League games and one of them was at right back. Um, Obviously with Kanate being available for a lot longer now, it's reduced his minutes, but still a good player, but he could be loaned out next season. I've had to put Nunes in 20th because like the online stuff, like silly cryptic tweets and stuff like that. He's just been a bit of a hassle this season, but he's had a few good moments, like I've mentioned in this video so far. I've had to put Harvey Elliott in 19th because he's had a few good moments, but he's barely played this season compared to last season. Like, he's had loads of starts under Jurgen Klopp, not started a single Premier League game this season. I think he might get a start against Brighton or maybe a Crystal Palace. I think Slot will give him an opportunity coming up. So then we move on to our 18th to 11th. So I've had to put Jota in 18th because obviously he was injured for a little bit, but there's been games where he's done absolutely nothing, and I think he's been quite disappointing actually this season. But like I used to be a big fan of Jota. I still like him, but I think Liverpool might sell him now. We have to see. Like Nunes is obviously going to go, but then it's Jota or Diaz, I think. But or Chiesa or whatever. But yeah, Jota hasn't scored enough this season. Robertson in 17th because the amount of mistakes he's had a few good games, don't get me wrong, but the amount of mistakes he's made is kind of worrying. But I think he'll stay next season, um, where Simicast might go. I'm going to put Simicast ahead because I think Simicast's crossing's been better. They've obviously kind of shared the minutes this season, but Robertson's played more. Um, But yeah, I'm pretty happy to put Simicast slightly ahead. Now, Joe Gomez has not played much because he's been injured, but Joe Gomez was playing. He was brilliant against Man City and Brighton. He was brilliant. I'm actually going to put him in 15th because he would have had more minutes this season if it wasn't for injuries. Now I'm putting Wataru Endo, who's not started a single Premier League game this season, in 14th. He's made a lot of appearances this season still, but comes off the bench. He does his job, which is to see out the game. Every time Endo has come on this season, Liverpool they haven't lost ultimately. I mean, I know he came on and they lost on penalties against PSG, but apart from that, that does not really the same, because he can't have the same penalties. But like, I think one of the only times they've conceded with him on the pitch was genuinely that West Ham game. And like, when the game against like Newcastle and Everton, I always wondered why Slot didn't bring Endo on because he's there to see out the game and he's actually become quite an important part of Slot's plans, whereas he didn't look like that going into the season. I've put Queeve Kelleher in 13th because he's played quite a few games this season. I think he's made 20 appearances, and in a lot of them he's played very well. And he's a brilliant keeper, and he's obviously going to get his move this year. And I really hope it's to a club that will give him plenty of games, and hopefully he can have a lot of success. Unless he joins Man United. Connor Bradley in 12th. Again, he's just missed out too many games because of injuries, but he looks really good. Again, like keeping him fit is so important. But when he's available, he's pretty good, I think. In 11th, I've gone for Curtis Jones. Now, Curtis Jones is kind of like Marmite in the Liverpool fan base. People either rate him or they don't, but I think he's pretty good. I'm glad he's getting these England starts that I think he thoroughly deserves. And, I could definitely see him playing for England at the World Cup. Really good player. And he's one of the only players that, that isn't like a fullback, isn't like the left back or one of the attackers that does get rotated into the lineup. But yeah, I think Jones has had a pretty good season, to be honest. So our top 10, in 10th is Cody Gakpo. Gakpo's had a very good season, I think, under Slot, but maybe we still need to see a few more goals. I think he's one goal off getting 10 for the season. I don't think he's in double digits yet. Only Diaz and Salah are in the Premier League. In ninth, I've gone for Soberslai. Now, Soberslai, again, he's someone else in the fan base that is kind of seen as either you rate him or you don't, but I think he's really important to this team because of his pressing work. We do need to see more goal contributions. I mean, he's got, I think, 7 goals, 7 assists in all competitions this season. Slightly better than what he got last season, but we need to be seeing him getting 10 goals a season in the Premier League, in my opinion, for a number 10. In 8th, I've gone for Alexander Arnold. He's missed a few games because of injury, but he's had a few awful performances, like the Man United game at home where it looked like he couldn't be asked to play, the Man City game where he got dribbled past 11 times by Jeremy Doku or 12 times. But his passing is just out of this world. ultimately. And yeah, whatever happens with him next, it's going to be a big mess. Luis Diaz in seventh. Again, he's a little marmite. He's Diaz though was amazing at the start of the season, and then he was average for about 4.5 months, and then in this running period of like the Southampton game at home to now, he's been really good. So yeah, I'm going to put him in seventh. I think Luis Diaz is probably Liverpool's second best attacker as well. He's got the most goals he's scored in a Premier League season this season as well. Let's see if we could get a couple more. It'd be nice. Kanate in sixth. What a man. Hopefully he signs a new contract soon. But yeah, Kanate has had a brilliant season, and I do genuinely believe that keeping him fit has been one of the reasons that Liverpool have done so well, because they've not had to keep changing this Virgil van Dijk's partner this season very much, which I think will help him and the whole team. So then we have our top five. Now, let me be honest, Kanate and Alisson were close for the fifth place spot. I've gone for Alisson just because Alisson is in fifth because the amount of games he's missed. But he is for me. He is part of the core four, which is Salah, the four horsemen, if you want. Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, and Alisson. Now, obviously, if Trent goes, that fourth spot might come to someone in the future, or it'll probably just be Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson as the main three. But yeah, Alisson had a great season. I mean, like I said, that performance against PSG was absolutely outrageous, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with him being in fifth. Alexis McAllister, I'm going to put him fourth behind Ryan Gravenberch, just because we did not expect this from Gravenberch, whereas McAllister was still one of Liverpool's best players last season. Absolute bargain. He's a World Cup winner and now a Premier League winner, as well as a Copa America winner, of course. He's got a brilliant CV and he's an absolute brilliant player. When we do our Premier League Team of the Season video, he's definitely going to be one that we'll talk about, alongside, of course, Ryan Gravenberch, who's in third. Wow. Who knew he had this in him? Bayern Munich have had an absolute gem. They bought a gem for like 18 million from Ajax, and they didn't use him and sold him for profit to Liverpool, who have now doubled his transfer value. It's just how football works sometimes. An absolute revelation. They missed out on Zubimendi. Gravenberch has come in and ultimately shown them that they already had what they needed at home, which is a very good life lesson, of course. In second, I've gone for Virgil van Dijk. I mean, you can argue that Van Dijk is Liverpool's most important player. I mean, look, Salah's my favourite ever player. Van Dijk's in my top three. Pretty simple. He could arguably be second in the next couple of years. But Salah is my favourite player, but Van Dijk is the most important player to the Liverpool team. There's no denying that. The captain, he's the leader on and off the pitch. He kind of controls everything. For me, he's an absolute elite centre-back. He has been for many, many years. I mean, look, you know what? He's in that, best centre-back of Premier League all-time debate. A lot of people would say he is. Some people would say he's not, but you're allowed your opinion. Obviously, winning another Premier League boosts his CV up massively, which is good. But he has had a few little errors in his game in recent weeks. I mean, like the performance against Everton, and he struggled against like Beto, and he played terribly against Fulham. But there's some games where Van Dijk is just he's a menace. And these professional footballers talk about how hard it is to play against him. It shows how much respect they have for him in the game. And of course, Mo Salah is the main reason Liverpool are going to win the Premier League. Have won the Premier League this season. Sorry, 28 goals, 18 assists in 34 Premier League games is just nuts. It is nuts. Let's be honest. He needs 2 more goal contributions to break the record for most in a Premier League season. He's got the most in a 38 game season. You could argue his Champions League performances were a little underwhelming. And his Carabao Cup final, he didn't really get much of the ball. But that's the thing, if Liverpool play bad, Salah's the one that gets the blame because he's normally the one that bails them out. And that's why he's the #1 player this season. So season awards. Player of the season, I'm going to give to Mo Salah, of course. Young player of the season has to be Ryan Gravenberch, no one else, because he's only 22. People think he's like 25, 26. He's 22, people. Signing of the season, I can't go with Chiesa or Mamardashvili, so I have to go with Arne Slot. Most improved player, of course, is Ryan Gravenberch. Most disappointing player, I've had to go with Darwin Núñez because he was actually okay in his second season, and everyone thought, oh, this is going to be the season where he comes out firing. It hasn't happened. Best game this season is, I said before, I think Liverpool beating Spurs 6-3. Just 3 sloppy goals to concede. The worst game of the season for Liverpool has to be the Carabao Cup final. They just got outplayed. Goal of the season. My favourite goal was the Arsenal one. I actually think Liverpool's best goal could be the Salah one against Brighton. Just the build-up was so nice and the strike was amazing. Save of the season. Now, it might not have actually counted as an official save, but Kelleher against Bournemouth, where it was a corner, I think, and then it hits a Liverpool player and Kelleher dives on the line to tip it away. It was absolutely brilliant. Could have went for one of Alisson's against PSG, but I'm pretty happy with that. So, that is the end of my Liverpool in the Premier League season review. I hope you enjoyed, especially if you're a Liverpool fan. If you didn't enjoy it, you're probably not a Liverpool fan, but like the video anyway. Obviously, remember the giveaway opportunity. If you're watching this on the 12-hour stream, obviously that'll only be for a couple of hours. So if not, there's no giveaway. The next Spud Ball will be doing my Premier League team of the season and young team of the season. And that will, and like my awards for player of the year and stuff like that. Obviously, we know Salah's going to be player of the year and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And obviously, this will be out on Saturday at 6 p.m. I'll see you later. Bye for now.